There comes a time in life when solitude begins to feel less like loneliness and more like an avenue toward freedom. As an older person, you may have started to recognize subtle yet significant signs that living alone could bring you more joy, peace, and contentment than the hustle and bustle of a shared home. Perhaps you've spent years raising a family, sharing your space with others, or even caring for loved ones. Now, you find yourself questioning whether it's time to embark on a different path, one that prioritizes your personal needs, desires, and well-being. From the countless conversations and shared experiences among older adults, especially in online communities and forums, it's clear that many are increasingly drawn to the idea of living alone. It's not an indication of wanting to cut ties with loved ones, but rather a desire to reclaim peace, tranquility, and control over their daily lives. If you've been contemplating this possibility, there are key signs that might help you decide if it's time to fully embrace the beauty and freedom of solo living. 1. You value peace and quiet more than ever. As we grow older, many of us come to deeply appreciate the simple pleasures of life, and for many, peace and quiet tops that list. A common reason many older adults gravitate toward living alone is their increasing need for tranquility. The noise and constant activity of others, while once a part of life that you may have managed or even thrived on, can start to feel overwhelming as time goes on. Perhaps you've spent years in a busy household, raising children, hosting family gatherings, or sharing your home with others. Over time, however, the moments of silence when the house is calm may have become more precious to you. Margaret, a woman in her early 60s, shared her experience in an online forum. "I love my grandchildren dearly, but the constant noise, laughter, and energy that filled my home were draining me. Every time they visited, I looked forward to their arrival, but I felt such relief when they left. When I realized how much I enjoyed the peace after they were gone, I knew it was time for me to live alone permanently." If you find yourself savoring these moments of stillness, whether it's the quiet of a morning without interruption or the peacefulness of an empty home after a busy day, this may be a sign that living alone could bring you the serenity you crave. The opportunity to cultivate a personal sanctuary where you are surrounded by calm is one of the most attractive aspects of solo living for many older adults. It allows you to nurture your own spirit, finding comfort and rejuvenation in the silence that solitude offers. 2. You enjoy your own company. As we age, we often undergo a shift in our social needs. While maintaining relationships and connections remains important, there comes a time when the need for constant companionship may diminish. You might discover that you no longer require the same level of interaction with others to feel fulfilled. In fact, the joy of spending time alone can grow to become one of the most rewarding parts of your life. Perhaps you've developed hobbies, passions, or interests that are deeply personal and satisfying, such as painting, reading, gardening, or even meditating. These solitary activities offer you a sense of fulfillment that doesn't depend on the presence of others. A story shared by a 70-year-old man on a forum beautifully illustrates this. "When I'm out in my garden, it's just me, the earth, and the rhythm of nature. I don't need anyone to talk to. There's something incredibly peaceful about tending to my plants in silence. One morning, while watching the sunrise over my flowers, I realized I didn't need a roommate or even family around to feel fulfilled. I felt more connected to myself and nature than I ever had before. This realization that your own company is not only enough but incredibly enriching is a powerful sign that living alone could suit you perfectly. It represents a deepening sense of self-awareness, where you honor your personal interests and embrace solitude as a form of personal growth. Living alone allows you to spend time doing what brings you joy, without distractions or the need to accommodate someone else's preferences. It's about reclaiming your time and energy for yourself, creating an environment that truly reflects who you are and what you love. 3. You have strong boundaries and prioritize your well-being. As we get older, we often become more attuned to our personal boundaries. The experiences of life, raising families, maintaining relationships, working and caregiving can teach us invaluable lessons about what we need to thrive. By the time we reach a certain age, many of us find that we are less willing to compromise those needs for the sake of others. Instead, we are more focused on protecting our well-being, setting clear boundaries, and ensuring that our emotional, mental, and physical health come first. Living in a shared space can sometimes challenge those boundaries. If you've found that you are no longer willing to sacrifice your comfort or peace for the sake of others, whether it's family, roommates, or even visitors, it may be time to consider living alone. Liz's story is a perfect example of this, as shared in a video comment. I love my adult daughter and my grandchildren, but sharing my home with them started to feel like an infringement on my emotional well-being. They constantly left the house messy, made noise late into the night, and disrupted my routines. I found myself getting more and more anxious. One day, I realized I was losing my sense of peace, and that's when I knew it was time to prioritize my own needs. Living alone offers you the opportunity to create a personal sanctuary, your own space where your boundaries are respected, your routines are honored, and your well-being is at the center of everything. You can design a home life that is completely tailored to your needs with no compromises. It allows you to protect your emotional and mental space, creating an environment where you can recharge, relax, and find balance without any external pressures. 4. You're ready for more control over your space and time. One of the most profound shifts that many people experience as they age is a desire for more control over their daily environment and schedule. For years, you may have shared a home with family members, partners, or roommates, often adjusting your routines, preferences, and even your space to accommodate the needs of others. While those compromises may have been necessary and fulfilling at the time, there may come a moment when you realize that you're ready to fully dictate the flow of your own life. Living alone grants you the ultimate freedom to have full control over every aspect of your space and time. Whether it's deciding how to decorate your home, when to eat meals, or what activities to prioritize during the day, you get to set the rules. A commenter on a forum shared a relatable story. I was 65 when it hit me. I was tired of compromising on everything, from the time we had dinner to how clean the house should be or what shows we watched on TV. Every little thing felt like a negotiation. I love my family, but I realized I wanted to live on my own terms. Moving into my own place gave me that freedom. When you live alone, the smallest details of daily life are entirely up to you. You can decide whether you want to wake up early or sleep in, whether you want to play classical music in the morning or enjoy the silence. You get to choose the color of the walls, the layout of your furniture, and even how often you entertain guests. It's a freedom that many older adults deeply cherish because it allows them to live in alignment with their personal preferences and create a lifestyle that truly reflects who they are without the need to accommodate others' needs or schedules. 5. You've outgrown the need to care for others. Full-time. For many, reaching a stage in life where the primary focus is no longer on caregiving can be a transformative moment. Whether you've spent years raising children, looking after a spouse, or caring for aging parents, the role of a caregiver often becomes a core part of your identity. This can be incredibly fulfilling, but over time, it can also take a toll, leading to feelings of exhaustion and even a loss of self. Eventually, there may come a time when you feel the need to step back and reclaim your own life. The decision to no longer be responsible for the day-to-day care of others doesn't mean you love your family any less. Rather, it's a recognition that you've spent decades prioritizing the needs of others, and now it's time to focus on your own well-being. Living alone can provide the space, both physically and emotionally, to rediscover who you are outside the role of a caregiver. It allows you to reconnect with your personal interests, health, and desires, things that may have been placed on the back burner for far too long. A poignant example of this can be found in a Reddit thread where one woman shared her journey after her husband passed away. "After my husband passed, I realized I didn't want to take on the role of caretaker for anyone else. I love my family deeply, but I was ready to focus on my own needs and desires." For her, the experience of caregiving had been a significant part of her life, but she also recognized that it was time for her to prioritize herself in this new chapter. This shift towards self-focus can feel liberating. The weight of responsibility lifts, and in its place comes the freedom to explore personal passions that may have been dormant for years. Perhaps it's a return to a favorite hobby, like painting or knitting, or the chance to dive into new interests such as traveling or joining a fitness group. Living alone can provide the time and space to nurture these pursuits without the constant pull of responsibility toward others. It's an opportunity to reconnect with yourself, to rediscover joy in your own activities, and to fully embrace the freedom of having your time to yourself. 6. You want to age on your own terms. Aging can be a time of reflection and reassessment, and for many, the desire to age independently and on their own terms becomes a driving force. Living alone doesn't mean you have to be isolated. It simply means that you value the freedom to make decisions that are best suited to your unique lifestyle and preferences. The thought of aging in a space that is truly your own can feel empowering, especially if you've spent much of your life accommodating the needs and schedules of others. Many older adults find themselves drawn to the idea of having more autonomy over their day-to-day choices. For instance, living alone allows you to decide when and how to seek help, rather than having someone else constantly hovering or dictating your care. Independence in aging is not about rejecting support altogether, but rather about choosing when and how to accept it on your terms. One man's comment on an online forum sums up this sentiment beautifully. "I want to decide when and how I ask for help. I don't want my children or anyone hovering over me all the time. I'm still capable of making decisions for myself, and living alone allows me to maintain that independence." His perspective reflects a common desire among older individuals to retain control over their lives, rather than feeling as if they need to conform to someone else's expectations or routines. Living alone gives you the freedom to create a living environment tailored to your needs. Whether it's setting up your home in a way that is easily navigable or making design choices that promote comfort and safety, you get to decide how you want to age. When support is needed, you have the autonomy to choose the best options for your situation. Whether it's reaching out to family when you want them involved, hiring professional help, or exploring community resources for older adults. This level of control can offer immense peace of mind, allowing you to live life on your own terms without feeling a loss of independence. 7. You're ready for a fresh start. Life is full of chapters, and as an older adult, living alone can represent the beginning of a brand new one. After spending years in familiar routines, many people feel a growing sense of restlessness, a desire to break free from long-established patterns and start afresh. Whether it's downsizing to a more manageable living space, moving to a new location, or simply redesigning your life around your own interests, living alone offers the perfect opportunity for reinvention. For many, the death of a spouse or a major life transition can be the catalyst for this change. A man in his late 60s shared his story in an online forum, offering an inspiring example of how living alone provided him with a new sense of freedom. I'd been living in the same house for over 30 years. After my wife passed, I realized that staying in the same place, with the same routines, wasn't what I wanted. I downsized to a small apartment, started taking art classes, and living alone gave me the fresh start I needed. Moving to a new home, even if it's a smaller or simpler one, can symbolize a new beginning. The process of downsizing allows you to shed the weight of possessions and memories that may no longer serve you. In doing so, you create space, both literally and emotionally, for new experiences, hobbies, and relationships. Whether it's taking up a new hobby like painting, joining a local community group, or even traveling solo for the first time, this fresh start can be incredibly rejuvenating. Living alone also gives you the freedom to establish new routines that reflect your current values and priorities. You're no longer bound by the schedules or habits of others, allowing you to create a lifestyle that is truly your own. This newfound flexibility can be a powerful tool for personal growth and self-discovery as you explore what it means to live life on your own terms. It's never too late to reinvent yourself, and living alone can be the perfect opportunity to start anew. 8. You're craving minimalism and simplicity. As we get older, the desire to simplify our lives often becomes stronger. The hustle and bustle of everyday life, especially if you've lived in a busy household for years, can start to feel overwhelming. You might find yourself looking around and realizing that much of the stuff you've accumulated over the years no longer holds meaning. If you feel weighed down by possessions, obligations, or the clutter of everyday life, it might be a sign that you're ready for a simpler, more minimalist lifestyle. Living alone can provide the perfect environment to embrace minimalism. The process of downsizing can be incredibly freeing, allowing you to let go of items that no longer serve a purpose or bring you joy. One woman in her 70s shared her powerful story about embracing minimalism. I realized that I was holding on to so many things that no longer served me. Old furniture, memorabilia, even relationships that drained me. Once I moved into my own space, I embraced a simpler way of life. Fewer possessions, fewer obligations, and more time to focus on what truly matters. Minimalism isn't just about getting rid of physical clutter. It's also about creating mental space by simplifying your commitments and obligations. Living alone offers you the chance to focus on the things that truly matter, whether that's spending time with loved ones, pursuing hobbies, or simply enjoying the peace and quiet of a clutter-free environment. You'll find that with fewer distractions, you have more time and energy to invest in the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. 9. You want to make your own decisions without compromise. Throughout life, compromise is often a key component in maintaining relationships. Whether you've been living with a partner, raising children, or sharing your space with a roommate, you've likely spent years negotiating your preferences and balancing the needs of others. From deciding what to eat for dinner to agreeing on how to spend holidays, or even choosing what color to paint the walls, every decision likely involved a level of compromise. However, as you grow older, you may find that your tolerance for compromise diminishes. This is a natural part of aging. Many older adults feel the desire to reclaim the autonomy that may have been sacrificed in the past for the sake of others. Now, more than ever, you might long for the freedom to make decisions solely based on what's best for you, without the need to consider anyone else's preferences. Living alone gives you the ultimate freedom to design your life without compromise. One woman shared her experience in an online forum, explaining how liberating it was to finally live life on her own terms after decades of constant negotiation with her family. I always had to consider other people's preferences, what we ate for dinner, where we went on vacation, how the house was decorated. I loved my family, but I was constantly accommodating their wishes. Now that I live alone, I get to choose everything. I decide what music I play, what color I want my walls, and when I want to cook. It's liberating to make decisions based solely on what I want, without having to check in with anyone. This type of autonomy is one of the most fulfilling aspects of living alone, especially as an older adult. It means you get to prioritize your own needs and desires in every aspect of your life. Whether it's setting up your home exactly how you want, organizing your day according to your personal schedule, or deciding how you want to spend your free time, living alone puts the power back in your hands. You can finally reclaim the ability to make decisions that align with your preferences without the need to compromise with others. In the end, this autonomy is not just about personal choices, it's also about living in a way that reflects your true self. You can embrace your individuality without the constraints of family expectations or societal pressure. The freedom to live life on your own terms is incredibly empowering, offering a sense of fulfillment that comes from knowing you are in complete control of your space and time. 10. You're ready for emotional independence. One of the most significant indicators that you're ready to live alone is the realization that you no longer need constant companionship to feel emotionally stable. In earlier years, it's common to rely on family members, partners, or friends for emotional support, validation, and a sense of connection. As we age, however, many of us develop a deeper sense of self-awareness and emotional resilience. This means that you no longer depend on others to manage your emotions or find peace within yourself. The journey toward emotional independence is an incredibly powerful one. It reflects a deep confidence in your ability to handle life's ups and downs without needing someone by your side at all times. You may find that you're able to process emotions, find inner peace, and take care of your emotional well-being on your own. One commenter in a forum described her journey to emotional independence after years of feeling dependent on others. For years, I always felt like I needed someone around me, whether it was my children or a partner, to feel emotionally stable. I didn't trust myself to be alone with my thoughts, but over time, I learned to find that strength within myself. Living alone now is a joy because I trust in my own emotional resilience.